The people who are busy out here killing people, slashing them, were a brother-sister pair that the first victim of the slasher was their mom, and she was murdered in a most heinous capacity, and they were gazed upon as these orphans that have lost their mom. Kante, they killed her, and chopping up their body parts, burning them in a furnace downstairs in the apartment where everybody lived. And the one dude had this like girl, the girl had this like boyfriend that you would think was the criminal, because he had these shady antics. And this chick was so trusting of this boyfriend of hers, and she actually looked so coy and so innocent in front of him that everybody would be like kind of wincing throughout the show on some girl, get out of this guy's house, get out of this guy's life, because he was actually giving eerie from the very beginning of the movie, and the guy turned out to be just a prop in the whole show. The murderess here was that chick and her brother. Banjalo labantu. Hawana mutoka basola until everyone know basola man. Abasoleki until bayasoleka. In other words, they commit so many atrocities over so long that ultimately that which were the Mabarabaras urban legends doing their rounds in the corridors become fact. Because what the heck is going on? Is this Vera the ghost? Is this virus Maykop? What's going on? South Africa has become a haunted mansion that way. And now they want to cause me to commit suicide so that everybody can be like, yo, akunandawo. That anybody can go assist or escape Balento Lena, except things in horror movies that go bump in the night. The exercise why he come and and if at all people are coming in the name of Christ, they conquer magic and psychosis. Extreme hagan. Feel like I little mudimu. Apathetic, and they never mind are apathetic, but they cause apathy on the part of everybody else until everybody else starts to see what the heck is going on. And God has awarded me 12 years of evidence to basically shake the apathy out of South Africa, to make them see my man. Solstice and about ke di cherry tse re blomang le tsona ko Magen Bean go ja di mafe re bolawa ke outie e apereng hempe e a ikonopetseng to that point ko officing le hempe nyana e kana le cardigan a tlo kenya mo le di breli tse deck Mr. Four Eyes sibulala ile zinsha that look like Clark Kent in his innocent outfit. Never almost saw it. Everybody's friend. Wonke umuntu uyambulisa, wonke umuntu uyamhaga makambona Gresha be so sweet. Sibulala yibo. And wonke umuntu that accuses them of these things tend to be the ones who look insane at first, because they tend to be the ones with actual personalities. The people that are their victims, the people who are their victims have personalities in the sense that they're people, and so they've got nuances and character flaws. The people who are their victims are the chikotlo go borang o blanga resetsa everybody. Uya papa ijaji grandshaplo muntu hu mango bozi. She spreads everybody's gossip in these streets. Uspread maruma agathandeki. Uyahlanya uhlala cela abantu imali. She's always asking money from everyone. She's always loaning money and not paying it back. So she already has a very questionable character. And so magarasile athi lenja le yathakatha no umamko bhozi uqalile vyevye hlala sipela maruma lenja le lo sisters akakwazi ukuthula. She can't just sit still nje phela, make like a dark ejardini abukele Netflix kwamela ayokhuluma nabanye abantu la iWhatsApp yonke, and in fact wonke all of us with all of her lies. So kupantefala them avoiding also on otherwise lo twaka kidi mums the hives the chicken pox zamakate. So you get to a point where lo muntu lona makakhuluma wonke umuntu urola ama eyes uyasquinta grensha. Everybody is like, oh, ukadile lukara, yo, ukadile ulerat, oh, ukadile ulesehwa, ukadile umasehwa, ukadile urine. Kala khuluma izinto and manje ubusy accuser uthepa of ubuthakathi. Kana kwatenge the one time when Cherry's not a mamko boss, but actually speaking truth, she is actually his victim. Listen, Cat Matala was that thing. Like Ucherry nje fela opapayo on social media. Oh, vele ke jaji ke slay queen will actually be looking like she's speaking lies about this dude. So Chiki be actually moving to Dubai and everything. Ijaji will struggle to get justice still to this day. Ngoba lenja lena has fooled wonke umuntu, because like I said, their victims tend to be regular people with nuances of character, and so based on whatever their nuances are, they get written off as a result of it. But these people tend to maintain a cool, calm and collected demeanor, and in so maintaining this cool, calm and collected demeanor enable the casting of a shadow of doubt on their insincerity or their culpability in this matter, because they're the ones that are just chill guys and chill girls. Everybody else is normal. Ijaji ya papa. Every so often ukuma manga ngabantu uspread amaruma. So aga colleague I respect to hold with. Mara, this guy maintains a flat-line sociopathy that is a facade, a presentation that he works very hard on maintaining in the eyes of society. And so therefore there is no crease in his shirt. Listen, there is no fold in his jacket. Lomuntu is on, he appears straight and narrow because he is actively and intentionally He is actively and intentionally on the daily working tooth and nail to ascertain that people see him a particular way. It is a whole thespian production that involves a lot of hard work, a lot of learning lines for a play. So that is theatrical and not so much one where you can do multiple retakes. And so you have to be precise in how you're going to act out your show on stage before men in open theater. You can't miss your lines. They're perfect actors and actresses like those in theater who don't have an opportunity at cut, retake. It's all live like theater. Every day he gotta spit proper lines, and there is no scene that he can act in without doing the perfect job in that particular scene, just like a theatrical production. It's a lot of hard work, I would imagine. Actors and actresses in theater, they don't have the luxury of TV to basically do multiple parts. They can't mess up their lines, they can't stutter, they have only one chance. Yeah, okay. Their victims therefore tend to stand no chance. Their victims tend to have no avenue of escape unless God raises somebody up, or unless there are so many victims that, listen, where there is smoke there's fire. But these people are just excessively careful. This thing is itching my forehead and a young boy. They're excessively careful. Do you understand what I'm saying? And their carefulness pays off for so many years that by the time they get exposed, wonke umuntu is in utter shock. However, not too much. Like I said, there are always nuances popping up out of them, like that evidence of halitosis that is quite exquisite. Yet nonetheless, it gets overlooked as just another personality quirk, when that was a sociopath out here burping the psychopathy and the sociopathy of homicidalism. But calling it gaslighting, you pretend that they didn't do it like Shaggy. So the one for MTN, he was just like that. Proper job, presented well, society respects him, and women, Tina Hair, that the misfortune of women is that masirasa and si complainer. People tend to say so more so when you complain against a guy that like, listen, eyes dotted, T's crossed, shirt crisp, no crease. Anyway, you're gonna get written off as umuntu ohiye. They will know that you're speaking truth and so exposing them, but nobody else will know unless the Lord raises you up to be the siren on the rooftop that is going to expose Inja Eshanyayo that has been killing Yonkile South Africa. Ukuma expose for exactly what he is. Get away with murder, but listen, baga, not for too long. Mamela, this is the end of the road for you, like your boys to men. You're at the end. Ow, 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 ow. Like a strange dog that don't nobody know the breed of, because what dog barks like that? Ow, 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 ow. That's this guy. Anyway, they just do what they want. And this here psychopath, yase MTN, he is my husband, and after I lost my job, I knew, like I said, when a man loves a woman, look at that. Something weird is happening in mine, cold as ice. Heart. Something is happening in mine, weird, psychopathic, robotic, essentially non-existent psyche. Something out here going down. It feels all fuzzy and warm. It's like sugar sprinkles. It's like, have you eaten sour sugar? The one that comes in a straw. You know how when you put it in your mouth it starts to pop? Like there is this like actually sugar sweet treat that you can buy like a sherbet at the store. When it starts to go pop. It's actually called Coca-Cola. It starts to like pop in your mouth like an effervescent drink, but it's a sweetie. And if you put lots of it, your mouth will be out, you're bubbling until you've got eno. And when without putting it in water, your saliva on its own will cause that eno to be like inside your mouth until you look like you're foaming at the mouth from a drug addiction. Yeah, but instead of it being eno, it's those sweets. They're sweet and sour, they're tangy, they're delectable, frankly. Right now, fizz pop is not fizz pop, madam. Fizzer. Have you eaten a fizzer? You know how a fizzer as well. When it's in your mouth, it ought to be going inside your mouth. It'd be out here bubbling in your mouth like an effervescent, like Corenza sea. Yeah, that's what's good. Inside his heart, he be feeling fizzer. But he's being resuscitated. Man. When there's something even though under normal circumstances, the mundo feel lucho. I feel le fizzer. Why would a fizz pop in? Why would a Coca-Cola sherbet in his mouth? Out here popping. But instead of it being sherbet in his mouth, it's feelings in his heart. They be going like fizzer in your mouth. And when it happens, he looks like, because I guess he's a sociopath. Later, he's psychosanti. I know you're son. Like he's a robot and Terminator from the eye. So my weapons inside the body. Robot or Terminator weapons inside the body. The moment you start to talk to him some kind of way, he be making like Van Damme in Total Recall. That woman at the airport when being asked how long you're gonna be here, and she's like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then next thing, her whole face opens, and come on, Van Damme, Van Damme, or Schwarzenegger. Hey, why were you acting like a woman? It was his cover. Initially, he's like, I'm gonna be going on holiday for 2 weeks, and then she's like, 2 weeks. When they ask her the next question, okay, so do you have any thing that you want to disclose to customs? 2 weeks. Ma'am, I asked you if you have anything that you want to disclose to customs. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then something comes out. They freaky like that. Weird, robotic, strange things that out of them will come out a battery and not so much a heart. Their blood will be battery acid. 2 weeks. He is so unfeeling and doesn't know how to act. The way the fella he's just like, oh, evil, the muntu. That when he starts to feel feelings for a woman, he's like, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I got to feel like he doesn't know what's that thing. Why is it popping like an effervescent sweetie in my heart? What are those sprinkles of sugar in my heart? And why are they popping like popcorn? 2 weeks? Anything on my feelings. I don't generally love. And the gay guy, to me. He is homosexual closet. However, he chose to marry a woman because and that's shunned. After all, he's going to be maintaining any kind of clout. Yeah. So when he had feelings for a woman, he was like, 2 weeks. Wapuma character, the person that he truly is. And now people see, what the heck, like, yo, dog, CEO tycoon, sonke siyamthemba. Lenja lena kanti hectic so. Ano rubbish mutona. Uyakhitwa manje. Ngamabhonga namatswape, everything is walking around butt naked and he's been exposed because the Lord knows how to make Schwarzenegger be like 2 weeks. God knows how to crack a facade. And these men, facade yabona sometimes get genuine feelings that they don't expect to feel. Because all this time their roboticism made them imagine they will just keep on killing without feeling any kind of way. You will know how in Silence of the Lambs, Clarice, you naughty girl. Clarice was this one person that this guy just wouldn't kill. And she became the end of him. Because when these psychopaths fall in love with a woman, they try to preserve her. They try to show her that, listen, I can love you. Whatever it is that I feel, I like it. It's like fist pop in my heart. Now sit down in my house. Except this woman is like, I'm funny. But because he's a psychopath, nobody says no to him. He's a killer. No one says no to him. He doesn't take no for an answer. He labors. He obsesses. And now this person that out here is feeling feelings for the first time in his life. And then the thing that he feels for, I'm funny. I know. O tlaetso tunya, o tlaetso bolaya, o tlaetso khama, o tlaetso kera ditsebetsa katse, o tlaetso kera megatla ya dinja, o tlaetso ho bolaya dinja tsa di neighbor. Wankutlo o jwayele lo muntu kwensha o go rabaza la emkatweni angabhankwe. So umfazi that he has feelings for and now he's like twitching. Do you understand? Yeah, mutho ona sitse a twitcha. Nkare o tshwere ke some like strange autoimmune illness. He's gonna be like, no, you can't say no. No. And then sometimes women, unfortunately, these men initially pursue them and then the women agree to be with them. They agree to date them. But then they realize what weird character flaws these guys are working in. They find out just like with Michael Ealy in The Perfect Guy. And then only once a guy does something really extreme. It is at the point of where you're not gonna be okay. Yes, like you're gonna see let's say you were like, listen, you're not the first guy that I've dumped in my life. You don't get to out to be threatening me. Like, I don't know why I have met for myself so many social and psychopaths. I don't know. But nonetheless, they have amassed to me. They have stuck to my jacket like black jacks in a bush as you're walking through it. I have been followed around by Amatota that God is trying to show South Africa the epidemic is that bad on the ground. Occult magic is making them so split in their personalities. It's making them so dissociated from their humanity that they're like always like that. And that's why your daughters are dying. Men are being recruited into cults and they're made to glitch and twitch and feel nothing. And then they fall in love with women. And for as long as there is an epidemic in the nation, nobody's gonna get better. Your daughters are gonna keep going in the ground. if at all they can't get to them by stabbing them 12 times, they will get to them by stabbing them 12 times in a mirror in an occult ritual. Bazo hlala izinto that are so bizarre, out of whack, crazy, and labantu are being made this dissociative. They're being made these psychopaths by occult magic. Baetswa sona kibolohi, bayathathelwa botho ba bona until they become such different people from who they used to be. And since abafuni deliverance, abafuni ukuredeemwa, hawana ntho re ka ba etsetsang yona. My ex-boyfriend was not a crazy psychopath, and then he became one because of uktwala. I also dated some dude briefly that was not a psychopath when I was at MTN, but then became one because of involvement in so much witchcraft that umuntu was like 2 weeks. Because I was like, don't email me, please, I don't want to talk to you. I came out to get back together with you. And yet umuntu felt entitled to getting me back when I had already moved on. Without anybody knowing who in the world killed the lady, because they can be able to go on and eat a burger after and out here be entirely cordial, gentle men to colleagues that are women and friends, and yet however end the life of a woman elsewhere, here in the ether, if you will. Mamela, ain't nobody else safe. So out here in 2 weeks develop feelings for me. Don't just feel like we have banda yinja again my feelings and then as well. The Lord showed me he's got a homosexual streak in them. These people join cults. They make them experiment with gay intercourse. After that, they can't not retreat. And the rituals that are done on them are so extreme that, like I said, they dissociate. And once they have dissociated, get 2 weeks for you to bring out the true person version of them. And then they prefer men. They want to sleep with men, but their personas in society, I get it, they are in a theatrical production that is well memorized in that production. It's a well memorized theatrical production. So they don't ever drop the ball on stage. So they act like heterosexual men that love women, and they go on right ahead to marry women. When they cheat on these ladies, they cheat on them, listen, 9 times out of 10 with men. Like what happened with Janet Jackson in Why Did I Get Married? 9 times out of 10 their dalliances out there in the streets are done with men. They are always engaging in gay relations because they are given that desire. They're given that fetish by the occult. And the one wako MTN, I asked like it time and time again. The Lord showed me. Yeah. My darling, uthanda madoda, ulala namadoda. He is gay and he is engaged in sexual relations namadoda easily when he is not with a woman that is his front for a wife. It is no wonder nitkelwa ingulazi because when indoda ichitela kabuhlungu kanjena ngamadoda amanye, sometimes you won't even know. Seeing as you won't even fathom that your man is gay, you won't even know that he's cheating. He will literally out to be looking like all the time he's with his boy, all the time he's with his friend. Listen, he's got the receipts to prove that he was with the boys. He has got receipts to prove that he was with a friend. It's as good as being with a mistress. It's as good as being with a mistress. It's a dude, and when a straight dude. So you will just think that your man to spend time with you. Why are you always spending time with your friends? Except no, he is spending time with his lover, and not just one, maningi. That's why they always bring HIV back home. But and so because abatandi, abafazi, sometimes some of them, not all of them, abanye do genuinely have feelings for women. Bayens are bisexual. Yo, it's a thing. Also over YouTube, get lesbian and flagrant and saying Torisa. Convert and not to be lesbian because you're not succeed convert from completely straight to so crooked that she prefers women more than men. I can't even call her bisexual anymore. She's just flat out lesbian now. As on the amateur so much that akasakwazi ukwathanda to a point where wangiharasa na wakilodlala yena sis wakula ke rubbish ujwalo usiona wako YouTube wankutwa yeah baba change baba dissociate habaketa more they have sexual deviances in them and then bayahesha afterwards because bagcwele ngimithi also wako YouTube kinna kenze ke molora nje fela anyala hey bathong sis man kyanka lo dula ko Uganda more gay marriage illegal altogether or lentlogela on that day ka singeshi ne I'm pretty sure the occult practitioners ko Uganda hadi heshi homosexual marriage. Had he forced? Maybe they just do sex rituals with the same sex, but they don't insist on marrying the same sex because then their government would have to give them grief. Can't move like Uganda. Can't move like Uganda. Otherwise, how long to let's go. South Africa is woke. It's snacks, and so because it woke, we've got gay marriage allowed in this country. I in the sense. So much as because when they made you dissociated so much from who you were originally that I was o ba shela kankane nka re lona o monna wa go GBV o tla nne ntse o lebitso la pele ka nonsense o precisely because South Africa ena ya lo tloela gore le lo nyalana kaofela le matswele le lo nyalana kaofela lena le six pack le di chest le di Adam's apple wonke umuntu nebase kodwa niyajola niyanqabuzana wonke umuntu namabele kodwa niyajola niyanqabuzana. South Africa has let you squeeze each other's boobs and out here stroke one another's Adam's apples, just gazing at them longingly and lovingly on some, oh my goodness, yours is bigger than mine, look at yours is just so huge, I just wish I had such a deep voice like you. South Africa out here let you have two men out here saying I do. So I mean, it is no wonder your witchcraft also invest in forcing to marry heterosexual people, because y'all were made gay by the occult, y'all were dissociated by the occult anyway. Whatever, I'm busy telling you about Njangana wing going up and down a wall like he is a lizard or whatever, but not the kind that is hiding from the devil. Yeah, Rabobi, that's who he is. Wangi Tagataure, because he's not supposed to feel for women. And that's why Angatile in the first place, I guess, crash. And then when I left, when the company fired me, when I lost everything, because y'all I not know that I lost everything. If you follow me with any level of pedanticism, you will know that right? Yeah, he still continued to when you bewitch abantu, sometimes you become obsessed with them and their lives and what they're doing. That are obsessed with their victims, but if their victims disappear and they're out of sight, it therefore becomes out of mind even for the witch. These are the amateur witches that aren't involved in heavy cults amateurs involved in heavy cults that disassociate people. These do not belong to them. So at some point the obsession of the little witch lady will lift. The obsession of the little witch lady will lift. Because like though I would love to surveil snacks, the bottom line is whatever. And so some witches literally just let you go because we're amateur. But the ones deeply involved in cult until either they get born again, relinquish the cult, repent, or die. Like there's no other way. So you will amass for yourself all these enemies, and the devil loves to concentrate some of his deepest, most baddest servants in the game on his Christians. Every so often dissociate, they glitch and they twitch, and then they start to develop fist pop feelings for these individuals. And imagine when there's fist pop out here, like popping, bubbling, effervescently in the chest of a crazy guy. You don't say no to him, and even if you do say no, and even if you do date him, but then later on dump him, you're in a casket not long from today. Unless he finds himself etanyane or dead, you will end up in a coffin. And y'all ladies don't know who among these crazy cult members you are dating. And your unfettered support of these crazy men might be because of rituals or just about your evil altogether as a nation. And I spoke about that in my other video. And imagine trying to figure out what's along in this country. Why is everybody so snacks? I don't know. And frankly, I would love not to care. If anything, I feel like I don't care. But the bottom line is, and I'm not gonna out here be standing for a whole country, anyone. Those of us that are standing in the gap for this thing. Because right now, even as I speak to you, I keep hearing in the spirit her funeral service. Her funeral service. All the way up until I enter an aeroplane and move to a foreign country. Because in that are under a principality that is territorial over South Africa. And unless I get out of South Africa, that is why the Lord will move me. And that is why the structures that will rescue me will be dwelling in a different geographical location, that they might not be under the influence of the territorial entity over the country. Will essentially makes it impossible for people to do right by saints, by people that they ought to do right by. I spoke when I started this message about territorial entities over countries that are making them inappropriately respond to Iran. And I'm out here now telling you about the territorial entity over South Africa and what inappropriate responses it is spurring in the minds and the hearts of South Africans. I want you all to understand with every bone in your body that absent of a person either lifting the spiritual nightmare off the nation successfully through collective national repentance or leaving that geographical location, people that are antagonized to that entity's works on the ground will always be targets for annihilation, assassination, because we war not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities and authorities and spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore, these authorities will always make everybody like an agent in the matrix with only a remnant of people on the ground functioning like those that have been plugged out of the matrix. And so therefore, anyone can be a target against anyone else trying to stand up against a nasty agenda, which is why Kere standing rightly in terms of politics on the right side is not going to be enough, because this here is not a physical matter where men and women debate over what the country needs. It's not about rioting. It's not about picketing and toi toi. Yeah, those are all the same words. I get to repeat them all those times because I've got the gift of the gab. It is about going to the one who can uproot the entity that has frenzied people on the ground to maintain the grain that has caused so much unrest on the ground from other certain people on the earth or in that particular geographical location, absent of going to Jesus as a country. Mamela, there is no moving the Prince of Persia right now, literally chilling over Iran. There is no moving the Prince of South Africa. There is no moving that which has caused complacency concerning what in the world is going on in Iran on the part of global bodies. Because, I mean, of course, is the Albanese whatever, that Australian Prime Minister guy, is he not out just censoring free speech? That's why he's not looking at Iran. His whole country is under a spell. So too is the whole country under a spell under Keir Starmer. That's why in the UK, they're not appropriately responding even to Iran, except for like recently. Because I mean, when there are all those people in London out here trying to bring forth a revival after Charlie Kirk died, look at what is happening with medical assistance in suicide in Canada. Yeah, I mean, of course, the Canadian Prime Minister is not going to be looking with any level of favor at Iran, although he ought, being that he is a prime minister of a democracy, he ought to be concerned about what's going on in Qatar. Yeah, I said that because I'm out here forgetting stuff, Iran, but they're not. Because are you not out here killing people, offering them aid when they can't afford certain medication? I mean, you're literally insane. You're focusing on all the other weirdest trash and not the right things. Your nations will perpetually be maintained in a trance with hypnotic spirals just going in your eyes for as long as you don't pray and so uproot national princes that out here are keeping people dialed down and numbed to sensitivity pertaining matters that ought to cause sensitivity in certain countries. You ought to be sensitive towards oppression in North Korea and in Iran as a Western democracy, and yet you strangely aren't. So what is going on here in South Africa is exactly that phenomenon, and I'm here to explain to you just how gnarly and dire the straits we are in. And so ignoring these princes because of the fact that absent of moving them away, there will continue to be a maintained downward trajectory in a particular grain that is already catastrophic, like gender-based violence. We're out here dying in our numbers as women. If at all our men are being dissociated by Utwala Imam Lambo, and also if all our men are being made gay by rituals, and women too, in a country that allows for gay marriage, lesbians will continue to insist on marrying women that are straight, even though they say no, and men will by any means necessary get women that they want, because in their dissociation, they've been made so immune to feeling that when they finally do get sparks of emotion, because God still exists enough to restore humanity in them, when then they get this restored humanity, instead of appropriately responding to it by being remorseful and contrite, they respond to it by being forceful, because after all, are they not excruciating occult practitioners? It is going to maintain a downward trajectory in the country that is spiritual in its nature and destructive in its reach, until there is the kind of civil uprising that I spoke about coming in this nation, that though you might not foresee it today, you can't even fathom how in the world under heaven we would ever endure a worse civil war than the one that we were going through in apartheid. And yet the Lord has shown me that it's coming, y'all. The Lord has shown me that a more devastating civil war than the one in the days of apartheid that just out here massacred non-black South Africans right next to children who didn't want to study under Bantu education. It's coming. Well, I wonder what's going on in Iran right now. Killing, like shooting people and then putting them in body bags while they're still alive. Enough for people to hear moans in the mortuary of living, however, body-bagged people. It's heinous, and you can't fathom how that would ever happen in South Africa. You can't fathom how that would happen anywhere. You can't fathom why people will allow themselves to do this. But when an entity is hovering over, that's why so many Nazis in Germany, once the Holocaust ended and they left Germany, they were so remorseful, they were so guilty, they couldn't even understand why they did what they did. And they just go on, they just revert to saying, I was just following orders. No, you were not just following orders, you were under a prince. It was a spirit in a country that made people entirely irrational. That's why so many of the Tutsis that came out of the Rwandan genocide, the Hutus, that came out of the Rwandan genocide are so guilty today that they killed sometimes even their own family members. It was a frenzy hovering over a country that was spiritual. And once they either left Rwanda or the genocide ended because the entity was lifted. Their senses return to them, and when then their senses return to them, they feel everything and they are so sad. That's why a nation that out here has child soldiers, sometimes these child soldiers, when they get older, are made to live with a most devastating bereavement in their bodies because of all the blood that they shed. That's why you were able to see in the faces of those militias in Sudan that some of them looked like they were just 17 years old, with all those bodies littered on the floor, to a point where from outer space outside of a hospital you can just see blood all over the show. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. What is going on with you? Why have you no conscience so young? The kingdom of heaven belongs to young people. It belongs to children. You are pretty much just out of your diapers. Why have you no conscience? Why are you not softer? For age is what calluses a man's heart, and yet you're still so young. How are you so calloused when there is so much violence over a people that have been indoctrinated, and when there is so much violence over a people that as a result of the indoctrination it therefore lodged and allowed placement for an entity over a nation? That's why they feel nothing. That's why they can just go into the kibbutz and kill. That's why they can just go into the music festival and rape and then kill. That's why they can just shoot a woman and her 3 children dead as a matter of principle, and then later on when they turn 38, living in another country, or maybe even still in Sudan, nonetheless without as much spiritual oppression over the country. They feel everything, and they're reminded with nightmares what they did. Think about Candace Owens. That's why that woman is in a cult. There is something that lady has been involved in that has unhinged her. It has dissociated her. Oh, Candace Owens is not the woman she used to be. That's what happens when people get taken through rituals. But dissociate until they speak rubbish that is so clearly rubbish that it is in your best interest as a Christian not to even talk too much about what they're doing, because it's pointless unless they get deliverance. You out here just wagging your head about how Candace Owens has lost her mind is not going to do anything. She needs deliverance because she's been involved obviously in a cult. There is a ritual that has been done on her that has dissociated her, and she's unrealistic, she's entirely unhinged. Now, and it is spiritual in nature, absent of her seeking out and so succeeding to find deliverance and so therefore repentance. She's just going to continue on this trajectory, and Amanja, just that she has an audience at all is weird. But the world in total is under these princes, and that's why Candace Owens has an audience even though she's bizarre. So it is important therefore for the Lord to raise up first a remnant in the country to pray, and if they succeed to knock out some entities, because the effective fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much, how much more then does an effective fervent prayer of many righteous men, 5, 10, for where 2 or 3 are gathered, there he is with us, avail much? If Christians can succeed to knock off and so therefore break loose some of the soil, maybe people's consciences can return to them. But this here breaking loose of some of the hardened soil, woo, it can take years, dog. It can take years for a small church of praying saints or remnant saints scattered across the country to pray a nation into enough return of a conscience for them to be like, what are we doing? And it is at the point when they start to question that then maybe you can try them with the gospel. Try to explain what's been going on in the country. Try. But when it's still in the heat of its stubbornness, when it is still at the height of its insanity, Shem, there's nothing you can do. The Prince of Persia prevents Daniel from getting his answered prayer. The Prince over South Africa causes Karabo to live in a dystopian nightmare. Those that are standing against the narrative will always be afflicted by agents in the matrix. Do you understand what I'm saying? It will always only ever be a most catastrophic spiritual war for the Christian when they're still living under these territorial entities. So the gaying up of all of our men, the homosexualing up of all of our men, my man, like, keep it, okay? In gang, yeah, listen, just grab it, run with it, like it's a soccer ball, a beach ball, just down a steep, like free fall. You know how it's written in God's word that like a city without walls, so too is a man without self-control. Just keep going down the staircase as a soccer ball bouncing down each step non-stop, and out to fulfill Newton's law of motion. An object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by a resisting force. Let this thing have no resistance. Just go down, down, down. Because my man, all of a sudden one day wake up to smell the coffee to realize that they can love women and then abuse them because they belong to cults, as opposed to realize that God can give them grace to love wives, as opposed to be gay. Keep going. Oh, beach ball down that valley and land in a gorge, a basin, and just float in there until something pops you. Go, mama, go. Because listen, you make me yawn. Keep like your hotel and just stretching myself on a terrace. Self-controlling iskipa. Best izofigala on his terrace, walking up and down. I will keep doing that. Tamaya, nkate. Mara before kifeta wakatala waka. Let me just carry on saying, explaining what the entities over this country, as a result of lots and lots of black magic, have achieved and what they will continue to achieve and what they're going to result in eventually in the long run. I told you, Civil War, Gen Alphas will rescue it, will build it, Gen Zs will rescue it through a wall, because they will fight the entity that makes you millennials dissociated and super gay. Yeah, and not for a whole chunky percentage of your Gen Zs as well to think that by gay until they will make like JoJo Siwa and realize that no, I'm not lesbian, neither gay. I actually like dudes. I was pressurized by the entertainment industry. Your Gen Zs are the ones that will make like JoJo Siwa. They will snap out of Indabeguti they believe by gay. That's why so many of them in a poll are to be speaking about how it is that they kissing girls and they're liking it. The millennials are the ones that are sticking to their gay guns. But the Gen Zs will wake up and see that, listen, I like me a dude as a chick. And I like me a chick as a dude. And me believing I'm gay is a total lie from the pit of hell. Yes, there are people that are with those sexual deviances in them indeed from long ago. Nothing could have ever happened. No era or time in history could have ever changed that. Like our lassies were so. Listen, they are made. All gays are not born, but some are made. And even those that are born, you are without excuse because the scriptures are clear. Seek the Lord's face to conquer your lifestyle. I've already explained in one of my other videos as to how gays can deal with their dilemma. I won't talk about it right now because I'm not talking about that today. Maybe another day I will rehash on that topic again as to how God will give you grace to love a woman though you will still have affections for the same sex. God, these people that have been made deviant in this fashion have been made deviant, some of them go high school and vice versa. But now, as women suffocating violently from a most asphyxiating midlife crisis, are out here turning up gay like Latoya Machene. Now listen, I apologize almost profusely, like I just beat you up by mistake thinking you were my absolute enemy. I'm very sorry. Ekes Jamer. Out here pronouncing the J like a typical black person. Ekes Jamer. No thank you. Ekes Jamer. Mamelanke Maswabi. It's giving all the day long. We are profusely apologizing. But anyway, because I said that, I used that terminology. Because aren't you calling me and my Christianity now a sky daddy? So when I was Chuzana, I have my own lines. Anyway, he follows me and then decides that he's got feelings for me. And then since he's got feelings for me and doesn't have feelings for his wife, because I go out because I'm not feel entitled. First he calls me crazy for calling him out for his crazy, and then because he realizes that he has feelings for me and not for Umpazi, he then stalked me. He stalked me when I found out that he got married. And I cried about it even in my blog, in my ministry. He was like, yo, now she knows I'm married. At which point he tried to kill me. Yeah, the guy never touched me, never laid a hand on me, never tried to locate my address, never tried to find my location so he could indeed kill me. He killed me in the very way that occult practitioners kill people. They burn effigies of people, they stab effigies of people, they burn candles, they stab mirrors, they stab dolls. They put people in coffins and then dig up a little hole in their garden and put those coffins in the ground, and a few days later somebody's in a car accident. This here freakazoid, I find out that he's married, and so I must of course move on because my love interest is somebody else's man. I explained in one of my other videos how I felt about all that, how I ended up singing. I heard church bells ringing, or all I could do was cry. So you can watch that video to get that context, that story. Okay, Mara, after I found out Uti lo muntu uchati, and so it's now time for me to heal. Let go, he's not yours. And later I was made to think he's mine because I didn't you just make me dream him? However, I already had interest in him. I already had a crush on him prior to that, so it helped his witchcraft along. I got so many dreams during the time when I was still at MTN, and also after losing everything, where this guy had literally my grandmother's former house and my uncle's present house. He literally came into Jakarta where I was reduced to a child, like a toddler, and he literally built a labyrinth on my grandmother's property, my uncle's property. He built a maze for me to wander in. I say my grandmother not to disrespect my uncle's ownership of it, but to explain my roots. My roots are not in my uncle, they're more in my grandmother. So that's why these dreams happen. This dude built a labyrinth that I just kept on running around in as a toddler child in my dream. And in that dream, he was so big, y'all. I literally am not lying right now. He was so big that it's like an architect with a prototype that he has built of little houses, little parks, little chairs, little stones, rocks, waterfalls, skyscrapers that are toys in a prototype or I don't know, it's not a blueprint per se, but a prototype that out here is an architectural small little mock-up build to show to his client what the new center is going to look like, what the new neighborhood, what the new estate that we're building is going to look like. There's going to to be swings for children over there, a swimming pool over there, a clubhouse over there. Over here, we just want like a garden area where we're going to plant a whole bunch of palm trees, and the units are going to be number 1 is going to be here all the way up until number 30, and it's going to follow the shape of a U. But you can change the mind, sir. If you want it to be a square or a rectangle, we can change it and number not so much from 1 but from 10. The units in this complex, you let me know. But here's my original. Now this here architect, okay, is gargantuan in comparison to the small little figurines of people in the town, in the mall, in this thing that he's building. He's small. He's like a toy in a Barbie house, right? Like figurines are like a toy in a Barbie house, while he is, however, is like the child playing with those toys. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie here in Last Predictive Programming All Up in Your Grill. The movie Beetlejuice, it is a most heinous depiction of what happens when these occult men want wives. Beetlejuice at some point tries to marry Gina Davis, or is it Winona Ryder? I stand corrected. No, it's definitely not Winona Ryder, because Winona Ryder was still alive while Gina Davis was dead, and Beetlejuice could only marry a dead woman in order to validate himself in the spirit realm or whatever, and he tried to force marry Gina Davis, and there was like a metal plate first on her mouth when she was supposed to say, I don't marry him, and then first Beetlejuice put a zip, and then she unzipped it and said, no, I don't, and then he put a metal plate. Anyway, whatever. Beetlejuice, that scene is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, it is relevant. That's how these occult men try to force women to marry them, and Beetlejuice was like a little occult magician in that very movie. Beetlejuice, just a very unruly crazy dude. But Beetlejuice, you will remember that Gina Davis's husband, before they died, before the two of them got into a vehicle accident and then died in it, he was an architect, and he built a model essentially of like the town that he was living in order to present it to like the mayor of the country or whatever. Not country, city. Yeah, don't come at me. Okay, he wanted to he was presenting his work to like I guess the mayor of a particular city to say, this is what I propose as a project to refurbish our city. And his little prototype was chilling in his warehouse where he worked as an architect, and he had built this like small little city, and in the city there was a cemetery that he also invested into his architectural model. And Beetlejuice, in one scene, Archer digs himself out of one of the graves at that cemetery just to show how dead this guy is. Like, he is so late, he is so dead, he's so lights out like a doornail that Upume, like in Michael Jackson's Thriller, like a zombie out from the grave. Like, he literally dug himself out of a grave, and when he came out there, he just looked so weird, and he was so dirty and so Beetlejuicean. He was just himself. You know how Beetlejuice is just this gross character in the movie. It's funny in the movie, but really in real life, when this stuff happens, somebody wake a sister up. And Beetlejuice digs himself out of this grave. He digs himself out of this grave, and Winona Ryder is the child of this family that moves into this house due to the fact that the owners are late, but they're haunting their own house. So they try to like kick the visitors out of their house because they don't want anybody living in their house with them, because they still feel like they're very much alive. But Winona Ryder has a spiritual gift in that she sees dead people, like the kid in The Sixth Sense. She's got a spiritual gift. She's got to say, Winona Ryder, like these weird movies. She's a mom now in Stranger Things. Like, anyway, whatever. Winona Ryder is like a kid with a spiritual gift in this movie, and so she sees ghosts, she sees dead people like the kid in The Sixth Sense. So while nobody saw Beetlejuice, who was haunting this house already from long ago, normally a person with a spiritual gift Megambo and Beetlejuice, and so Winona Ryder, Beetlejuice one day, I mean, listen, I might be confabulating the details in this movie, but listen, it's important that it eventually adds up. Beetlejuice is out here digging himself out of a grave in this prototype, the late architect, who now is haunting his own house. He is now haunting his own house, right? But before they died, he was an architect. And so in his warehouse, there is this like blueprint, there is this model, and Beetlejuice at the cemetery in particular, in this model, he digs himself out of a grave, and he's all dirty, and he's dusting himself off, and then like, he's just like a very disgusting character. And then Winona Ryder is like, what is going on? And then Beetlejuice is like, wow, awesome, you can see me. Oh, okay, well, if you can see me. And that is just what I'm getting. Like Beetlejuice, the way that like he was a small little figurine, engaga, and he gets out of this grave, right, that he's dug out of, and then he starts to flirt with like prostitutes. He's just like this pervert, because there is like a pub, a bar, because I get it's a model of a city, and so there is like a bar that is built over there, and he goes to this like whorehouse, this brothel, where there are all these dead prostitutes, also very small, in this model that he's out here flirting with all the day long. That's all that he can do, haunting this particular house, living however in this architectural model. But if at all he's going to be big like a regular person, and so therefore act like he's a normal human being, if Beetlejuice is going to be life-sized, he has to get somebody to say his name 3 times. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But he can't tell them what his name is, and so cause them to say it 3 times. He can only make them guess it. And so he shows Winona Ryder a beetle, and then he also shows her a juice, and then after guessing Beetlejuice the first time, he then is like, say that again, Beetlejuice, and then he's like, say it again, and then Winona Ryder's like, no. He wanted to get big, grow. Ultimately, somebody makes Winona Ryder big. Beetlejuice, 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 right? These movies are out there with people saying things 3 times. Even Candyman, you say the name 5 times. Anyway, whatever. Weird that way. Nonetheless, somebody gotta say Beetlejuice like 3 whole chunky times. Somebody gotta say Beetlejuice like 3 whole chunky times to make him big again. But what I'm trying to get at is that in this dream, the roles were reversed. The way that this is such an upside down world, the way that there was so much evil on earth, the way that there's so much evil in South Africa. I was like Beetlejuice in my dream. I was small. I was a figurine walking around in a maze that this man had built for me on the property at my uncle's house, Kotladi, Soweto. Whereas he was sitting down on a chair. He was not done building, but he was so big that frankly I was looking at him like he was Godzilla, like a giant. He was setting the course of my life in a direction. He was saying it doesn't matter where you turn, where you go, no matter what you try, you will always meet a brick wall. I'm gonna build a very intricate labyrinth that you will never be able to escape. And it makes sense why he was sitting down and still building in this labyrinth, because everywhere I went he was still building there. So essentially a labyrinth is this maze that you can't finally get out of unless of course it has been built to never be escaped, right? Like the labyrinth that you will see in the movie Maze Runners, right? The labyrinth was never meant to be escaped, and so those kids were just doomed in that space for like ever. Mara, largely mazes are made, if at all, it's for comical effect or for academic purposes, like just like puzzles trying to intrigue your mind. Labyrinths are made to have an exit. They are supposed to have one, but it's very intricate for you to get to it. It's rough to find your way out, but once you have drawn a path to escape this particular maze, don't lose your path. So make like Hansel and Gretel and put breadcrumbs on the floor, types it up there, lest you should lose your way, and you better hope no birdies out here be eating those crumbs, right? Yeah, okay, no, this dude was still building